In over 40 years of video game history, many games have come and gone, but only a few of them stood the test of time.
Reviewing these retro games has been great fun so far. Digging up some childhood memories, playing some games I never got to play back then. And Outcast is one of the games in the latter category. When it was released back in '99, our PC couldn't run it and my dad was getting so tired of me pestering for upgrades to play my games, I never got to play it back then. But in 2014, Outcast 1.1 was released. After a failed Kickstarter campaign to make an HD remake, the developers of the original Outcast remade the game from the original source code, improving some stuff like maximum resolutions and stability, so a whole new generation could explore the world of Adelpha. According to the writers, in 2007 we launched a probe to an alien world. And it's in a parallel universe no less. But because video games, the aliens damaged the probe, creating a massive black hole that threatens to destroy Earth. In our own non-parallel universe. Yep, I'm lost too. But anyway, a couple of scientists are sent to Adelpha to fix the probe together with a tough guy named Cutter Slade, who is supposed to be, I guess, their bodyguard or something. But when they arrive on Adelpha, Cutter gets separated from the scientists and the aliens known as Talan see in him some kind of messiah, known as the Ulukai, who could save them from their oppressive ruler, Feyran. And so the adventure begins.
Then all of Adelpha will be free.
Whoa, slow down there, Chief. I hate to burst your bubble, but I've already got a world to save.
Yes, Ulukai, and that is Adelpha.
To save the Earth, you'll have to find 5 objects, known as Mon, that are scattered throughout the 5 regions of Adelpha. Along the way, the Talan will give you some side quests to make this main objective a bit easier. These side quests range from finding a lost brother to disrupting the food production for Feyran's troops, and even though it's mostly standard stuff, like go to point X to shoot or pick up thing Y and Bob's your uncle, you'll get a lot of handy background information and resources for doing and completing them, so yeah, it's worth it in the end. Some of the Talan are actually kind of funny, like this guy who thinks he's in charge of the risk workers, but he can't even pronounce your name right.
Croats knew I am very smart, and I could make it nicer on Shamaza.
He did?
He also said something. What was it? That Mar was least likely to incite an uprising, whatever that means.
Outcast is one of those games that lets you figure out pretty much everything by yourself, making it extremely important to pay attention to every bit of detail in the dialogues. It's so easy to miss something, and the entries in your journal are really vague as well. A problem a lot of people ran into is saving the game. Yeah, I kid you not, even saving is hard in this one. Turns out, in the beginning of the game you get a crystal, a so-called Gamsav crystal, you have to equip and use to save your game. Why? I've spent a lot of time just messing around with the menus, pressing some standard quick save buttons, and had to resort to the internet to save my game.
Lets out a bright light. This is believed to imprint your essence on the Gamsav, but you cannot move while the light is growing.
Skip it, Chief. This is too much.
Back in '99, the world of Adelpha was pretty impressive. The areas connected by these Stargate portals known as Dauka are big enough to get lost in, and the story and lore tie everything together nicely. Fast forward to 2016 and I have to say Outcast didn't age very well. I hate to burn this one down because I was so looking forward to playing it, but it turned out it's just not fun. The controls feel old, clunky and slow, making the combat and exploration feel more like a chore than an adventure in the end. Fighting Feyran's soldiers turns out to be a lot trickier than expected. Mostly because you can't aim up or down, the game kinda decides where you should aim, and for some reason the shoot button makes you jump when you run out of bullets. Serious? What? As long as you're only facing a couple of enemies in open terrain it's no big deal, but as soon as you pick a fight in an alleyway in the city, you're in for a nice combination of a gunfight, free running contest, modern dance and a horrible death in the end. You better save a lot. The old school autosave isn't great, so I spent a lot of time replaying stuff just because instead of fighting, Cutter decided to play some hopscotch instead. But besides the awkward controls, the main reason I didn't really enjoy playing Outcast was because I just got bored. The risk fields from the beginning of the game are just really bland and boring, and everything seems to take ages. Mostly because Cutter walks really slow and weird, and riding one of these Tonquah dinosaur things doesn't really improve stuff. And the first area also lets you walk from one end to the other just to talk to a single guy or pick up a random simple object. And it just takes all the fun out of it. Thank God the soldiers you kill don't respawn, because I ran out of ammo a lot and there was only one place to get it. A guy called a recreator who makes the ammo out of metal you've collected. But that also takes another minute or two of just standing around waiting for this guy to finish up your order.
You need only show us any of your sacred objects which fuel your weapons, and we will attempt to make them for you.
When I got to the second area, the city of Okriana, I was glad to finally see some civilization again. Walking around town, I found a guy who could sell me some new weapons. It turned out you can also jump across the rooftops to find treasure and keys. Cool! Maybe things will finally pick up from here. Or maybe they won't. The city is filled with Talan, too lazy to take care of their own problems. Before I knew it, I was buried in side quests and I had already forgotten half of them.
If you could, I would be happy to give you all the spare lampi I can.
I don't want to sound like a certain businessman here with a dead animal for a haircut and an affection for masonry, but those Talan should speak some more damn English. All those names of places, people, customs, I just didn't know who or what I was looking for in the end. And this led to a lot of wandering around the city, talking to strangers, being pointed back to where I came from, and ending up in the soldiers' barracks dying horribly. Fuck my life. Outcast really drove me up the wall sometimes. It's a great game, but it just feels so damn old. I gave up a couple of times, wasn't even sure if I was gonna make this video in the end, but I just kept playing until halfway through the third area. By then I decided it just wasn't worth my time right now, especially because the HD remake is coming up next year. There's so much potential in this to make the remake a must play. I'll just wait for that, and I suggest you do too.